Remember, I can always edit out the beginning. So, and we're back.
Welcome.
Welcome to season 1, episode 1 of Shadow Series. So we're gonna call it Shadow Series, maybe.
Works. Shadow Hunters.
I think we should get a line from like that Tool song that I love, 46 and 2. It's like, in my shadows. And he's like literally talking about like shadow work. We gotta find like a cool like line from that or something to title each episode. But for yours, we're vibing on Alanis Morissette right now. And for a very good reason, because in the first video, Emily mentioned that there's a line in this one song where she says, "Are you terrified of silence?" And then what's the second part? Like, how do you feel when I do this? How does it feel when I do this? Or...
It's actually just
oh my
God!
Here, handle this.
Did you think about your bills?
Right? That I can't believe that just happened. I knew this fucking series was gonna be so goddamn fire. So,
that was really perfect timing.
I can't believe that just happened. I'm so glad that's on video.
Why are you so petrified by silence? Here, can you handle this? And then she goes silent for
full
like
silence.
a second.
Yeah, it's total
maybe
silence.
2.
Yep.
And then
we both looked at each other and we're like, could you handle it? And we were like, no.
And she goes, did you think about your bills, your ex, your deadline, or when you're gonna die? And it's just showing how a lot of us keep everything so busy. I'm guilty of it. Music playing in the background while I'm watching TikToks on my phone and like something else is going on. We're so busy captivating our brains and keeping it running because we don't want to sit in that silence with that alone time.
Because that's when
everything
you gotta
starts
face it. Yep. And we don't want to
coming
feel it.
to surface.
Which is okay, right? It's a normal human emotion. Who the hell wants to sit in pain, right? But there will come a time where there's not enough drugs on the planet, not enough alcohol on the planet, not enough distraction on the planet, whatever, to continue to numb it away, and you will be forced into facing it. And like we were saying before, coming as a volunteer, being ready for the work, makes it 10 times easier than spirit forcing you into the work, right? Like it had to do with my very slow learning dumbass. And when I say I'm a runner, which is kind of like the same energy, I don't mean it in the sense that like I run away from people and relationships. I don't. I am loyal to a fault. I hate that Leo thing.
Same.
Like I don't leave. But what I will do is if I'm like left or whatever, is I book myself, like I will triple book something on the same day because I'm afraid somebody's going to back out and I'm going to actually have to sit here alone and think about how broken my heart is right now, how much pain I'm in. And I didn't really realize how deep that was for me until literally today, which made me put that post up. And I don't know if anybody saw the Snapchat story that I shared on my YouTube too, but I said, I've just had a major realization. I'm a runner. As I'm literally knowing that I'm going to be hours late for my plan number 2 and still had my very important to me plan number 3 to do tonight. And I'm like, I'm literally filling myself with so much to do because I'm so afraid to sit here and feel how heartbroken I am, you know? But I also know that my relationship that I was in, which was an amazing relationship, to be honest. I mean, it was really a great relationship and a wonderful guy. And I was very, very happy and very, very in love. And I know he is too. But I also know that this had to happen right now because for one, I definitely still have shadow work to do. And I'm sure he'd even be willing to admit that he did. And spirit needed me to be alone again right now. It was always going to happen because there's something that has to be done first. And then I decided I needed to come on and really be authentic with myself and talk about this runner thing where I do, and everyone's always like, you're never just like home chilling. Like Tony just said that to me the other day. He said, anytime I've ever called you, which is almost daily, like checking with me daily on his lunch break or whatever, he said, never once have you said, nothing, I'm just chilling, or like just watching a movie. And I'm like, no, you'll never hear me say that. Never. I'm always busy as hell doing 1,000 things, but I do it to myself. And I really realized it today. So I'm going to be authentic here and realize what I'm doing. And I'm going to face my part in my recent breakup from an amazing relationship that I didn't want to end. And be authentic about it and be real about it and take accountability for it, most importantly. And what my hope is, because this isn't going out right now, is that by the time the series is over, whether it's just me and you or if the others that were interested join, the sort of season finale is a couple's little shadow work. How can we work through this in a healthy way? What has to happen here for us to have a chance to get back together? And I'm hoping that seeing how willing I was to do my shadow work and be super accountable for my part in it will just at least, even if it doesn't get us back together, at least show him how much he meant to me and this relationship meant to me and how much I still really do believe in it and was willing to do the work to save it. Yeah. So
how you run, I am an in-betweener. I either jam pack everything so that I'm constantly going.
Yeah, but you hermit mode like a boss too.
Yes, I will hermit.
She'll go off the grid for me for like 4 months, but I respect it because I know what you're doing. I always know you're doing spirit work, and if it's what you need, I respect it.
Am a hermit, an old lady, and I also
21-year-old party girl sorority. Like, I don't mean that that level.
Yeah.
She's not that level partier, but I mean like going out and being social.
Yeah, I'm either going out being social, so I don't have to sit, think, and feel, or I'm being a hermit so that I think, feel, and all this stuff. Or there is a third.
Oh, middle ground.
I sleep.
Yeah.
All the time.
Sleep, I think, is the most common, and like the number one way of avoidance.
Yeah.
Right. To
because
avoid.
I can't face
to
it.
sleep, you know?
Yeah, I can't face it if I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
But that's where me being me gets me because it then shows up in my dreams. So I think I'm running from it, but I'm really not.
Yeah, and
I'm
we
just
know that
sleeping all the
spirit
time.
does work and like through your dreams, right?
Yeah.
They'll either download you things you need to know, or they'll put stuff in that they want you to face. It's work you need to do. So a lot of times that's divinely guided.
And so I feel like that's also a part of like me doing the work,
Right?
is why I sleep.
Yeah,
because so much stuff comes to me through dreams.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's also kind of like how I find what I'm not done working on. Because like it'll happen in a dream and I'll be like, I'm not as healed from that as I thought I was.
Right.
Like,
and we know
based
that
on how I
is
feel when
you
awaken,
okay,
and like comprehend what was going on.
So you think you remember a good amount of it though?
Oh yeah,
that's great.
definitely.
That's great. It's not conscious for you. That's really great. And also sleep and like rest is like a way of healing too. I mean, it is healing, right? Like that's self-care, that's self-love, and maybe you just need to sleep right now to do the resting healing portion, because the pain is way too raw and way too real right now, and spirit don't even want you to like try to transmute it and face it, because it needs a minute to heal. It's just too painful right now, which is why I'm in separation in my relationship right now. Like, it's not that something happened, like, or anybody did something terrible or crazy to someone else. Everyone's like, always like, what happened? Like, who cheated? Like, whatever. Nothing like that. I think just
needing time apart.
I think both of us really knew and understood that this was finally it. We've been through a lot, and this was really a very special, mature, beautiful connection. And it's a massive like shock to find us here, but I think we respect the relationship enough, and I think whether consciously or not, we both want it to work out in the end enough that we are willing to go through the pain of separation to do it right, and to make sure that we're right for the other person, and that we don't do this to each other again. Like, the healing's got to happen first.
Yeah. And that's like what I tell myself, and like I also tell a lot of people, that you have to heal those parts of yourself before you, like we said in the other episode, like you have to be that pillar of yourself before you can invite somebody else in to share that stable ground with you.
Exactly.
Because the house will crumble if the bones aren't good.
Right. That's absolutely right. And I think both of us very much thought, like, we both spent a lot of time doing this kind of work, and I'd gone through painful relationships or whatever. Like, we're in our 40s, and really believed that we were good. Like, we were conscious of the fact of not wanting to get into a relationship before we were ready, both of us, and both really believed that we were ready, that we were there. And then that's like kind of what I was saying before. Like, how do you really know that you fully healed shadows and things that trigger you until you've been tested, right? Like, since I went through like the most by far tumultuous breakup in time of my life, my dark night of the soul, I have not dated anybody. I have been afraid to put myself out there. I wasn't ready. I knew I needed to heal and work on myself. So I haven't tested it yet to see what I'm like in a relationship or how far I really am. I felt like I was in a really good place until something happened that triggered an old wound, and I didn't like the way I reacted to it, not one bit. And it's not the way I would normally react to it. Normally I'm really good about going, all right, before you say anything, are you reacting to what they just said? Are you did you just get triggered from some trauma that has nothing to do with him and you're gonna make him pay for it? I'm usually really good about it, and all of a sudden I wasn't. So something triggered something so big that it overrode my ability to stay in spirit. And then I went, okay, I got work to do, and that's why this happened.
Back to the drawing board.
Yeah. Which is fine. I'm totally okay with doing the work. I'm totally willing. I just hate the heartbreak and I hate the missing.
Yeah.
I hate the missing him. It blows. But I also believe that what's meant for me will be meant for me and will find me. And if it wasn't meant to be, then I'm grateful that it's not in my energy anymore, so that we can have, both of us have what's meant for us, because I love him and I want what's best for him. But anyway, just had to get that out. I feel a little better already.
Good.
I mean, it hurts, but I feel a little better already. I'm actually very proud of myself for taking on this much accountability and being this honest, because I'm an effing Leo, and like the pride thing is so deep with us. It's hard. And I don't think that I've ever genuinely cared enough about a relationship or a person to be willing to say that shit on camera that I just said.
Pride will kill the most humblest of men.
I hope somebody start a fucking ledger. I want all her quotes written down. Whoever's watching this, somebody's gonna write them all down. You can email them to me. I'm trying to keep up, but she's just spitting tonight. Yeah, so I think that that's a very interesting part of it. But I think it also just shows how ready I am to also be rid of it. I don't want to hurt anymore. I can't hurt anymore. And I do want to be a better person. I want to let go of that crap, you know? So here we are. We doing it. Hard work. What was that one? Was that last one you just threw at me?
Pride will kill the most humblest of men. I got it. I'm writing them down too. I'm shocking myself tonight.
I mean, who said that? Whose quote is that?
That's just random. That sounds like some William Shakespeare shit.
See, my first instinct was Shakespeare, but then I was like, nah, it's not it. But maybe it is, because it was my first instinct.
I don't know if it really is somebody or not.
I feel like it was like a poet, though. I don't know. But
Or
we're gonna
like
find out.
some Walt Whitman-y.
Yeah. We're gonna find out.
Or a variation of such was said by them.
Yeah. So like I was saying, right? Like we don't know, no matter how much work we've done or how healthy we really think we are going in the beginning of my relationship was extremely healthy and stable. Until something happens that triggers you, you just don't know where you're really at. So, like Emily said, we're back to the drawing board now, So,
and that's okay.
yeah, I mean, it's the only way to eventually get to happiness and to be that stable foundation, so that you're the best, highest version of yourself, and you only attract the best, highest versions of everybody else, and the highest vibes to you in career and life and love and everything, finance, whatever.
And
everything.
I can say, like, personally for me, going through a lot of this stuff, when things would resurface or old patterns would happen again, it would be like oh shit, here we go again. But that, oh, here we go again moment is starting to turn into, what can I do differently to change the outcome of this situation?
Right.
Where before I'd see the pattern and just let it play out because I know how this is going to end.
Right.
Now I'm starting to see the pattern. What can I alter, even within myself,
right,
to have a different course of action which leads to a different outcome?
Absolutely. And if it is in a relationship, then, or even just a friendship, family thing, whatever, like being aware that communication needs to happen, right? Like we need to sit down together and talk, and know that you're safe to do so. If you don't feel safe to talk to your partner, you need to separate and find out why, which is where I'm at right now, right? Because if it really truly is a stable foundation, healthy relationship, and you're coming from that place, that energy, you should be totally comfortable saying, we really have some things we got to talk about. Let's work on this together. And that should feel comforting. because then you know this, the floor's not just going to fall out from under you, right?
Yeah.
And you're not just going to find yourself like ghosted again, and those abandonment issues aren't going to be triggered because you know that you're going to have a conversation, you're going to work on it together. You're not going to have a conversation and they're not going to go, nah, F this, I'm out. Not if it's a stable foundation, healthy relationship. You're going to try to work on it first, right? Okay, so I'm feeling some kind of way, and I know you are. I feel the distance. I feel the energy. What's going on here? Like, let's be real with one another. Let's not react crazy, like, whatever. Let's just see if we can work our way through this thread, you know, and heal it. And then be a much healthier couple. And you don't have to break up to do that if you're in a healthy space and can communicate. You can handle it now, you know, and people don't have to live in those heartache and bullshit all the time. I'm still learning, y'all. Never said I wasn't. Still learning. It's not enough about me, but I am going to do my full for Miss Emily May. I want to go back to the throat chakra for a minute. I feel like we've really gotten the heart chakra on the table. We still got to like get, you know, energetically heal and whatever, but I feel like you've done a good amount of work there, and that we've really identified a lot. So throat chakra, I'm feeling like my throat feels like it's burning and on fire when I tap into it. You know, like the worst like strep throat, sore throat you could ever possibly have.
I got that so often as a kid.
Did you?
Yeah.
Or did you feel silenced?
Yeah, I did.
Well, especially if you felt like you weren't being authentically you would feel silenced anyway. Even if you grew up in a house where you could say things, you still wouldn't be authentically you, so you still would feel silenced. But if you grew up in that kind of household, like some people, it's like children are seen and not heard, and others, it's just like that's unacceptable, that's not true, that's not whatever, and your feelings were never validated. And for some, it was just you were straight up scared to say what you had to say. You didn't think that you could. Like, you were afraid of what would happen if you said something to a parent, right? Intimidated or whatever. But this feels so fiery in you. All I'm looking at is that the fact that candle's gone and it's still, there's a flame and no goddamn candle burning. Because that's how big this is for you. How much you want this to...
I almost caught my house on fire.
Did you?
I know that's totally random.
Yeah, remember the time in the early days of the Babe Cave when that freaking card lit on fire? I was like, we just had a fire like right before you walked in.
I was burning a candle with some herbs. Okay. And I forgot to put the little bit of water in the bottom so like the herbs would be wet. And the candle burnt down and caught the herbs on fire.
Yeah, that was probably real nice, right? A little burnt smell.
Smoke alarms are going off.
Oh, it was that bad? Shit, that's bad.
And it was at night, so everyone was sleeping. Like, mom and dad came running.
You must have had a panic attack. Oh my god.
I was like, there's no fire, it's just me.
They were probably like, this freaking, what we used to call you, swamp witch?
Swamp witch?
This freaking swamp witch. Oh my god, that's awesome.
Good times. Good
that's
times.
awesome. Good.
So
that
always,
makes me very proud that you were doing that, though. I love it.
Always remember, if you're burning a candle with herbs, put a little bit of water at the bottom so the herbs are wet and they don't catch on fire.
It's a very good point. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Even for me, like, I use my little cauldron. Oh, I think it's on the other table that I burn incense in to do like my herb magic with. But I never remember to put water in it. Yeah. Well, thank you. Lesson learned for all of us. We're learning lots tonight. So what do we think that is? By the way, that I just want to say that energetically, that might have been a moment of avoidance to look at that. But that's what shadow work is. Of course it is, right? Because who the hell wants to do it? It's hard.
Don't call me out.
It's hard, you know, right? I mean, I do it. I'll have 15 things planned by freaking Tuesday to do in 1 minute. But what do you think? What are you thinking? What are you thinking that is? It feels real fiery, like you've got to get this out. This is something big for you. It may not even just be a small situation. I think it's bigger than that. Almost like you feel, almost like you're mad at the universe. And I get that because I had a moment with the universe yesterday. Like, why does this always happen to me? Or why is this like, why can't I stop with this? Or why does this have to happen again right now? Like, I dealt with that issue. Why am I here? Like that, you know what I mean? That energy. I'm not saying it's that.
Yeah.
It's that energy. It's like a frustration and it's big.
We're going to have to dive a little deep.
Okay. I kind of got that vibe because I knew when you were like brought up the story about the break-in. I know that wasn't intentional.
No.
That wasn't a conscious thing. You didn't mean to do that. That was subconscious, and we don't know what our subconscious is doing and how it's going to control us. It's not conscious, right? Mm-hmm. So that's probably true. You know. All right. So we're going to do a little Reiki here, and we'll open up the throat chakra so that you can say what you need to say if there is something buried in there. Just kind of breathe your awareness into that throat chakra. and see if there's any emotion, any feeling that you can identify at all, just to give us that initial thread. Or if you're feeling something like somewhere else in the body, and not an emotion.
I feel like it's kind of like you said, like anger at the universe, but then also anger at myself.
I feel like frustration, anger,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Because it's more like
You
parts
want to
of-
do what they want you to do. You want to do the right thing, but you're annoyed that you're not getting there. Why are you helping me
Yeah.
get there? You're not figuring it
and
out.
like old parts of me coming back up when I was like, I've already dealt with that. Why am I still?
And that's the same energy I'm in too. We're
Yeah.
synchronizing again.
Or it's like, alright, I started doing XYZ again, but I thought I dealt with that.
Yeah.
Why do I keep feeling like I'm backtracking?
And we know the answer will always be because there's a deeper,
Yeah.
buried shadow farther in the shadows that we are just not aware of.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have no idea it's there until it's identified. And it's tough. What you can do is like what we're doing right now, a little Reiki, whatever, clear your throat chakra, see if we can get you there that way. Sometimes that's just not enough. I mean, I've been doing this work since 2008, and this was just last year that I went to see someone who offers this amazing healing session, like cranial sacral work, and I'll leave you guys her info. She used to work with me, and I owe so much to her. Dee is her name, Dee Arnold. She was just doing this regular cranial sacral session. I mean, we were not expecting this to be a big thing. I'd already been doing work on myself for quite a long time, like consistently for 8 months. All I did was work on myself. And she found something in me that was so massively huge, I couldn't believe I buried it. Like, you would think there's no way I could have forgotten about that energy and how big it was in my life. Huge. And it was literally related to my husband's death. Like, that's, I mean, one of the most profound things of my life, and certainly not something I ever thought was going to happen to me in my 30s, and be a widow or lose him. But when it came out, it wasn't even as nearly as painful as my dark night of the soul. It wasn't. I was crying because I think I needed to cleanse more than anything. I've never had tears roll out of my eyes so rapidly. And it felt so profound that my body was just so ready to cleanse it. It wasn't the sobby kind. I was quiet, but the tears never poured so fast out of my eyes. It was like a waterfall. I mean, soaking me. And I faced it. I was shocked, and she was too. She's like, I was not expecting to find that. But when it came out, that is the biggest transformation I've ever felt in my life. And if I ever had any doubt in the power of doing like energy healing or this kind of work, it was certainly completely gone that day. It was such a massive transformation. I felt like I had an elephant sitting on my chest for years, a good portion of my life, and never even knew it. And then I finally got the elephant off my chest and got to breathe without one on there. And I was like, holy shit, that's
It's
what it
like
feels like. It's
when you put
huge.
your glasses back on.
Yep.
For the first, or like
That's what
when I
seeing's
first
like.
got glasses, I was like, oh, that's what it's like.
Yep, I
Like
feel
it's
like
not
that
this
too, yeah.
blurry blob.
Yeah, it is humongous, but it's hard to fight. How you can't fight it, you don't know it's there. You know, so that's another thing you could do something like that. Meditation, like I always think at the end of the day, if I were to ask spirit or an angel what the answer is, how do I find this? How do I figure it out? The answer is always go within. Go within. So if you can meditate, 21 minutes is my preferred perfect time for a meditation. If it's not that, it's okay. But I'm just throwing that out there for educational purposes. It's when you like get through the bridge and all far enough that you are receiving the messages from spirit. You don't necessarily have to go deeper. You can do those to like a guided meditation that's for this kind of work, for finding things. You could do it for, if I've done it for you and I know that it's in the throat chakra, she could do it a throat chakra meditation or a binaural beat. So you do a binaural beat for that chakra. I love binaural beats.
Same.
And have that on the background during your meditation, or do a binaural beat just for shadow work in general, right? To bring out anything that you're feeling like lost to. Since this is so specifically throat chakra, I would do it like a throat chakra binaural for sure. But any of them is fine. And like I said, see somebody like me, and we'll do Reiki until we get it out. And it's not just going to happen in the first session necessarily, you know? But everything else that you let go of and put in the light, your body's starting to get in that energy where it's mostly light, and we know when that happens, like attracts like, you know what I mean? So if you're made of light, you're attracting more light and more light and more light, and you just keep digging out the shadow, and it will come out, and you'll recognize it, or something will trigger it, and then you'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, what the hell was that?
And I feel like at least what comes to mind thinking of it is I've been brought up as who I used to be
Okay.
when being introduced to people.
Okay.
Like social interactions. I'm hanging out with a group of people I haven't hung out with in a long time. Somebody comes up and they're like, oh, this is Emily. You'll know her through so and so and so and so.
Okay. Okay. And you're like, yeah, no, I'm not.
Yeah, like I don't want
I'm
acquaintance
not in
with
that
that
energy
Yeah,
anymore.
I'm not in that energy. I
Right.
don't.
Well,
I'm not tied to that person anymore.
right.
And
So you don't feel validated, recognized,
Yeah.
or seen. Being seen is so fucking huge. People
yeah,
don't realize how much it affects them when they're not until someone sees them.
yeah,
You wanted to be seen as the person that you are today because you're more authentically you, and you feel much more comfortable being that person
yeah.
and accepted and not worried about like the old stuff.
And it's like
Don't trigger that. Like,
I'm
not
so
that
much
person.
more than who I was at that point in time.
Of course.
And I am so different than who I was at that person in time. That was who I was 3-4 years ago, not who I
Right.
am now.
Right.
So why equate me to the past when you can just be like, oh yeah, this is Emily.
Yeah.
You don't need to say who I had ties to in the past, especially when I
Right.
no longer have ties to that person.
Yeah. Like get to know me now, who my energy.
Yeah.
So if you felt that right in that moment, like what do you think would be an appropriate reaction to that? Like how could you transmute that energy? How could you kind of fix it and change the perspective and being kind? Like we still always want to come from
Yeah.
love and kindness. I don't care. We always. Do we? No. But we need to try. We are supposed to try. I think a reasonable thing to say, and tell me if this vibrates for you, would be like, you know, well, actually, like, you know, that was like a long time ago. Like, don't judge me by that, because you can make it kind of playful and joking,
Yeah.
but get your point across, right? Keep it light. Be like, yeah, please don't judge me by that. Like, that's not. I'm actually like this. Like, meet me now. Come meet me now. Like,
I feel
I'm
like
a new Emily. I'm a new energy. You should meet this Emily.
that's how I should have responded, but I
Yeah.
didn't.
Well,
I just didn't say anything.
Like, probably
Yeah.
because maybe the reaction was bigger than you thought it would be too. So you were surprised at that, and you were surprised that this person would introduce you.
Yeah.
That way. Like, wait, what?
I
Like,
was very,
that was so
like-
20 years ago or whatever.
I was just kind of like, yeah, hey, I'm Emily. Like,
Yeah,
I was more thrown off.
yeah.
I feel
it threw you
like-
off. Yeah.
Um,
And maybe did it make you feel judged? Did it make you feel like that
yeah.
person said that because there was something wrong with who you were then, or who you were hanging out with, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you feel like there
it
was an
was
energy
very
of judgment behind it.
very judgy because, especially because the person they equated me with does not have a good reputation.
Right. Right.
So it's
So
like,
you thought, why would you're introducing me to a new person? Why are you like putting that
Yeah.
energy on it? Like, do you even like me? Like, are you
Yeah.
judging me? Do you have a problem with me? Like, it stems all those things.
so it was
of
very
the rejection and the being an outsider.
yeah,
Shit. See, we're threading. This is how you thread. We're getting to that thread. Yeah, I think that was big. I think that was very valid.
yeah,
I just have one more little thing that I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
I think all of that is absolutely correct. But I think that a bit of that frustration, why am I here again thing too, and I know what you mean, like, we don't have to get specific, but we know what you mean, that cycle thing, is because you hadn't really fully broken it yet, and that's why you're here, right? Like, me too. I was shocked to find myself here. I can't tell you how shocked I am. Until I realized, like, you didn't fully break that cycle because you put your boundary down and you accepted something that was not within your new known boundaries, that you know that you only want things within these boundaries, and accidentally, for whatever reason, like something happened and a boundary got crossed, and you're like, shit, now I gotta go put the boundaries back up again and reinforce them and make sure they're strong, and that's why we're revisiting.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. It's okay.
That makes sense.
I mean, it's okay. You don't know until you know.
Yeah,
I am shocked to be here. I'm shocked to realize how much I really still do have triggers. I really, even though I know what they are, I've identified them. It's not like they're new things I didn't know were there. It's just that I can't believe how unhealed they are. Like,
Yeah.
that it can actually change who I am. I mean, it made me act like a completely different person than I am. Like, I was shocked. So it's okay if this is the work, right? And you're actually really doing a fantastic job.
Oh, thanks.
You really are. You know, do you know how hard it is to say this stuff to anybody, let alone being on camera? She knows this is going to be, published on my YouTube channel, but also the hardest person to be truly, authentically honest with is yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how hard that is to do? And it shows a tremendous amount of maturity, first of all, that I did not have until like 40, to know that it's okay to say, I did this, I effed up, because you're facing it. It's those who refuse to accept accountability and face it and admit it that have work to do. Those are the people you want to be like, nah, that's not my vibe. I want to stay away from that. But somebody who's willing to stand here and say, I had accountability in it. I did this. I'm ready to face it and heal from it. I think that is the most noble thing a human being can do, is take accountability and be honest for their actions. Say, I fucked up, I played a part. Instead of doing this thing that people always want to do, and like, they break up and they immediately go smear the other one to their camps to make it look like it was them, instead of just saying, we just didn't work out, like we both got some work to do or whatever. Both played a part. Why isn't that enough? That is enough. You don't have to go smear the other person because you feel so guilty about your hand in it and you're so concerned about being judged and looked at. People judge you because of a breakup. Who cares? Unless you're like abusing somebody, that's different energy. But like, who cares, right? Like that all right, let them judge you. You know you. That's all that matters. Who cares what they think, right?
And it even falls in like with friendships too, because
100%.
I know it's always funny to me because like I'll hear what someone says about me and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
what I do next?
Yeah,
like,
right.
I want to know
Like,
more.
Yeah.
But like,
That's funny.
it's very, when friendships break off,
Yeah.
it's very like, well, what happened? What's the tea? What's the details?
Everybody wants some juicy ass story.
Yeah, and some people play into it so that they can
Feed
be
on
like,
drama.
it wasn't me. Can you believe what she did? XYZ.
Or they could be caught in victim mentality and need to be the victim. Yeah.
When in reality, it could have just been. It just didn't work.
Right. Something
Like,
happened that triggered us both.
Yeah.
I said something that triggered your whatever issue, unintentionally, of course, but it happened. And you said something that triggered mine, and then here we are, right?
Yeah.
Now we're reacting from triggers, not from the current energy, and we've hurt each other, and now we gotta fix it.
Now we gotta do our own healing.
Yeah.
And
You can't build a stable foundation if you're not stable in yourself. So you have to learn how to be stable and deal with that, so it doesn't happen again. Yeah. Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Take this moment and be selfish. Alanis Morissette's got it. She's got it.
This is really vibing tonight. And it's funny too, like, in all of these random weird places and ways, I keep getting these messages of like, like sort of Herman energy or Four of Swords. Like, you need to be alone. You need alone time. You need self-reflection. And do it now before it's too late, and you're gonna either have no chance of like this being fully fixed, or just that it's holding you back from an opportunity. Like, now that the train left the station and you gotta wait the whole like way around for it to come back to you and progress you forward again,
And one like prompt, I'm gonna call it a prompt, like writing thing that kind of helped me with that self-reflection portion is actually got it in my psych class.
Cool.
Last semester when I took adolescent psych. He had it on the board and it was so random. You walk in class and it literally says, who are you afraid of becoming?
Like that.
And that deals a lot with our shadows because
Oh yeah.
who are you afraid of becoming? And then the next one was, who do you want to become? And the last one is, what steps are you taking to avoid becoming that person? And what steps are you taking to become the person you want to be?
Like it.
And that kind of like, I know we're all spiritual and stuff like that, but some people need to take a look at it at like a separate perspective. And I feel like that kind of helps you sit alone and it gives you a jumping off point.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times
It's
I
a good
know
way to identify a shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Way. Yeah, I had it written down and I didn't get to journaling, but you brought it up.
that's something, a jumping off point that started for me, because you never know where to start.
Yeah.
Some people, like we said earlier, know why they are the way they are, why they act the way they act.
But it's because they already started somewhere.
Yes.
Right? They didn't just
And
get
some
that.
people can't identify that yet.
No.
So when you sit there and like, well, who are you afraid of becoming? Why are you afraid of becoming that person?
I love it. I love it. And if you're dealing with someone who, even though you're not meaning it as an insult, you're trying to talk through something to solve this issue between you, but they get immediately very defensive and reactive, don't push it any further. They're just not ready, and you can't force them to be. They have to get there when they're ready. It's divine timing. And unfortunately, what you have to do is just walk away and remove yourself from the situation if it's something that's just not acceptable to you, right? That's one of my boundaries. That's one of my things. Whatever, I have enough self-worth and value to say, I'm sorry, then I have to leave because you're doing this to me, and we can't work it out, and I can't accept that behavior. I won't. It's too painful for me. And sometimes it's what you got to do, and sometimes maybe you'll come back together. Sometimes you won't, because you will have done that work, identified that, and stayed true to your boundaries and yourself. So now Spirit has something higher vibe for you, a better fit for you coming in, and whatever it is. Always just look at it from a place of gratitude. Be grateful for the lesson that you learned while you were with them, because everybody that comes into your life like that progresses you in some way, sparks your healing in some way, Yeah.
That'd do.
That'd do. And then you got to get to forgiveness, which I think is the hardest step in the game.
That is.
Yeah.
Especially self-forgiveness.
I think forgiveness of self is much harder than forgiving someone else, no matter how massive the betrayal was. But we know all you have to do is the perspective, right? Forgiveness is about perspective. We are so ingrained to think that forgiveness is for that person, or that we're saying it's okay that they did that to us. That's not what it's about at all. Please erase that from your energy and your mind. Forgiveness is for you, 100%. Because holding on to that energy keeps you stuck, keeps you in the energy, keeps bringing the same type of person into your life, and you're not progressing, but you're also not healing. It's really, it only hurts you to not forgive. It doesn't hurt the other person. They're already off on, girlfriend number 3 by now, right? Or whatever, new friend groups, whatever it is. But the biggest gift you can give yourself is to just forgive them and know that they have their own life path, their own lessons to do, and so do you, and whatever. And it happened for, a reason. And you're grateful that it happened because you know that it did something to progress you along. So it doesn't matter anymore. Do you know what I mean? You have to take the 3D out of it. You have to look at it from a higher level of consciousness. Look at it from 5D energy, right? Nothing actually matters down here like that. To be honest, no one ever really betrays anyone. It's a 3D concept. It's just what had to happen to end the energy, because you were either meant to be alone and Spirit was like, nope, we got to stop this, or you guys fulfilled your contract, your soul contract that you made on the other side that said, I need to learn this lesson from you, and this one from you, and this one from you, and in return, I'll give you my, abandonment, trauma, rejection. Go fish, right? You plan that out, right? If you've got a major betrayal or a huge hurt or something in your life that you had to take time to heal from, you had a soul contract with that person. There's no question about it. You fulfilled what you were supposed to fulfill here, so don't be mad at them. In the last life, you were probably the dick. We all had to be the dick, right? We all had to experience everything to grow and be here on Earth School. Try to think of it from a higher level of consciousness. It's not easy. I'm still effing it up, right? I live in this energy all the time. But think of it without the 3D bullshit. It's not you. It's so much higher than that. It's just you did what you came to do together, and your soul contract is up, and this is where you're meant to be right now. It's nobody's fault. It's nobody's fault. It's just what had to happen so that you could get your certificate for that on the other side. Oh, here's your rejection issue certificate. You did good this time around, right? You don't have to repeat that one in the next life, right? So keep that perspective in mind. It helps you process the pain, but it just helps you grow through this so much faster, so much easier. And know that anything that ever happens is happened right for you and not to you, for your highest good. It's so that you can live in your highest good, be the highest version of yourself. And then back to the journaling prompt thing, I want to say really quickly too, doing authenticity work of any kind just helps you get to know yourself better. Who am I better? And that automatically leads you down the path of shadow work, right? Because you'll know yourself well enough to be like, oh, that's not my normal reaction. I know me. I don't react like that. I need to look at it. Why did I say that? And in like a minute, you'll probably have a trigger identified, and now your thread's going. And it just happens so quickly once you start doing it.
My favorite,
So quick.
my other favorite one that I've done, and like I've even had friends do, is to write a letter to your younger self of what you need to hear at that time.
That's the best way to hear inner child shadows.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Because once you see what it is that you wanted to hear, you can start trailing on why is it that I needed to hear that.
Yeah, and because the reason that your inner child is trapped in that energy, in that space, right, is because it never heard that. It didn't feel validated, or it didn't feel seen, or whatever the case may be, or loved. So you just going in and saying, hey, 9-year-old Danny, I know that you were bullied really, really badly, and you felt like nobody liked you, and you had no worth and like whatever, no value, and that was really traumatic for you. But I want you to know that that's all over and done with now. Like, look at me, like, we're awesome. We're adults. I'm the older version of you, and it's safe out here, and you can physically take them out of the shadow, and you've healed it. You know, there might be some pain left to heal, right, or some like energetic, you know, yeah, that really hurt, that sucked. Like, there's still things I think about that happened when I was like 13. I'm 42, where I'll feel a little twinge. Yeah, like, that really hurt. You know, so you might be healing that, but you're not living with all this heavy, dark inner child shit within you, without a doubt. Yeah, very, 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 very good point. And I guess because I didn't say this previously, I should say the difference between shadow work and inner child work is an inner child wound that you need to heal is just something that happened during your childhood, right? Your formative years, right? Where you were growing up. And a lot of times it is attached to family, because like that's when you're a kid, you're not just like out and about living life with friends. You're with your family all the time, right? And it may not even mean that you had a shitty family or they were neglectful. We just don't always know as parents. We're not perfect. Nobody gives us a manual. Like, we mess up.
I just shook my head like I'm a parent.
Like, but you did it because you're awakened, you know? Like, we don't, maybe it wasn't intentional. Maybe it was. Maybe you had a narcissist for a parent, God forbid, or an abuser or a neglector. But, you know, that's what an inner child, you know, wound is. Otherwise, they're really both shadows. They're the same. But you're right. We do kind of treat them a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And they can be a little bit easier to find. A little bit. Especially if you start shadow work. Usually inner child's like, hey.
Yeah. It's like, we're going to dangle this right here because it's coming next.
Yeah. And the other thing you could do if you're really struggling with that too, which is how I did mine, I had Moon Moth Goddess, my friend Monique, who's a YouTube channel. She's like really famous, like tarot reader on YouTube. And she's like, I don't know, over 100,000 subscribers or something. It's huge.
That's going to be you one day.
Boo! Speak that into the universe, y'all. Please, can everybody say that, please? Thank you. And I believe it, because I know my worth. And I'm working real hard, y'all, on this stuff. But we can do, she did mine and I can do yours. I've done them a bunch. And we can do inner child readings that will show us what they are, what the wounds are, and kind of follow the path. And then after that, do your healing, right? Which is either journaling, or I do a meditation where I guide you into like the house you grew up in, right? And you find yourself in your room, like where's Danny? And you know, you go to her and pull her out, like just like we were saying, or you could do both. And then like a little Reiki, even if it's a distance Reiki session, because the cool thing about a distance Reiki session is it can be recorded, and then that way you can use it over and over and over again. Like the Reiki healing I'm giving you, you can use it over and over and over again to keep healing, and use it whenever you want. So we do heal them a little differently, but we can do shadow work readings too. If we're really stuck on something, well, we can definitely do a shadow work tarot reading. I do them for a lot of people anyway. So that's the difference. Did I cover that? Because my brain is jumping. I'm getting downloaded a lot. I think I'm cleansing a lot too, because that feels a lot like I want to throw up. Don't make me look at that right now. My heart's broken. All right. So, throat chakra, frustration, right? Why am I here again? Not feeling validated. So, I think the why am I here again thing, I think you know, right? Do you feel like you need to explore that a little more? Or you think
No, I feel like that one, I kind of
maybe
Gotta-
got back into a tiny bit of a cycle. It wasn't full blown.
Yeah, no, it wasn't full blown, but it was definitely starting to see the patterns again.
So that's something you should celebrate.
Yeah.
And you should recognize how incredible you are that you knew that and you stopped it.
Yeah.
That's huge. That is massively huge. I mean, that's a big step. And you should be totally celebrating that. You need to celebrate your wins. But also know that it's self-love, right? It's okay. That's okay. So you got it. It's over now. Don't hold on to that energy or beat yourself up. It's so important. Live in the energy of congratulating yourself, not the one of like, why'd you do that again? Yeah, don't do that. It's okay, right? It is okay. This is what we're here for. We're all gonna do it. And just love yourself enough to be kind to yourself and say, it's okay, throat chakra Emily May. It's okay. You recognized it, and that's freaking awesome. Awesome. Your energy shifted. Did you feel it?
I did.
You looked like the sun just beamed on your face. Like
Oh,
you got lighter. I literally saw it happen. I hope it picked up on camera. All of a sudden, you have this big glow about you, like by the cheeks and all. I swear, you do. That's pretty amazing. And I'm like, I was like, I literally feel like I'm gonna throw up. It's really triggering right now. But I'm like, I know that means that we're on the right path. So, I think we covered a lot.
Yeah.
I think we should leave it here for the night and let all this kind of sink in. And I mean, I kind of feel like you might be just about done digging them out. We'll check the rest of the chakras, and we'll still deal with the healing.
Yeah.
But I don't think you've got too much real hidden stuff. I think you're really facing. I understand getting to solar plexus and sacral could bring up some difficult things.
Yeah.
I get it. So we'll still check them. But we've done 2 50-plus minute videos. I feel like we were talking for 30 minutes.
I know. It did not feel that long.
No, and I just think it needed to happen, and it was really natural, like we said it was.
Yeah.
I had no plan for this. I didn't like write out an outline or anything like I normally do, because I've gotten very confident in this like shadow work process, and I'm confident because I know that I have divine guidance with it. It's not that I think I'm so fantastic. Like, I mean, yes, I do think I'm good at this. I don't want to not give myself credit. I know better self-worth. See, I have such a problem with that still. Danny, take yourself some credit. Stop it. But I do know that I'm divinely guided too, and that spirit really wants this done now, so it's just going to happen. They're going to make sure it happens, and we're guided the right way. And our intuition's not the right thing for me to help you find it and for you to be able to identify and find it with your own intuition.
And I feel like, especially this time, like if we look at like the wheel of the year and all that fun magical stuff, if we go down that
She
path,
sounds just like me, doesn't she? I'm so goddamn proud.
if we go down that path, winter is that's when everything
Self-reflection
slows
mode.
down.
Yeah, it's when you're supposed to
And
hermit.
you're supposed to hermit.
Go
You're supposed to
hibernate.
self-reflect. You're
That's
supposed
goddamn right,
to
girl.
do all that stuff that we don't give ourselves time to do.
Yep.
So I feel like the fact that we're kind of doing this, even though it's still fall,
And it's the same time that this happened to me last year.
Yeah.
Exactly the same.
it's very like, people say that the weather doesn't affect things, but it does.
Bullshit. And that is super relevant. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. And then even astrologically, it's in alignment with it too, that the lunar eclipse full moon that we just had on Saturday, it was in the energy of transmutation. And that's what this is. We're transmuting this energy because we know we can't create or destroy energy. The only thing we can do is change it and transmute it to something better, right? So we're going to take this darkness and transmute it into light, right? That's what that sort of the energy around that eclipse does, like this particular time of year during eclipse season. But we're also in Scorpio season, which is also a releasing like transmutation energy. You know, Scorpio is like, everybody knows I call them the Wednesday Addams of the zodiac, and I don't mean that in a bad way, y'all. I love Wednesday Addams. I'm very gothy, so don't give me Scorpio hate mail. But it's a water sign, so it's already about emotion. But it's, to me, the deepest, most intense of the water signs. Scorpios feel so deeply, and that's why they are kind of like moody, broody, and like deep, and have that vibe about them. And we are in the swings of Scorpio season. That's the energy we're in right now. See where Scorpio is in your chart. What house is it in? Is it in like your 7th house? Because that's relationships. I think it's in my 7th house. But yeah, that you're absolutely right. That this is the time to do it. We have to transmute all of this other stuff because like we're running out of time to do so. You know, it's time to face it now. Set some majorly big, beautiful opportunities. Don't miss you. Don't pass you by because you deserve them. They're still meant for you. You'll still get them, but you're gonna have to go through the whole cycle again. You want to do it again? I don't.
No.
I want to learn my lesson and take accountability and do the work to be better.
Yeah.
Holla
at your girl.
authenticity and self-love, y'all. Start there, okay? If you want to book a reading with me or do a shadow work session with me like we're doing right now, you can email me at babecavecoven@gmail.com or message me on any of my social medias, and I'll get you all the info and get you hooked up with it. Don't forget to also like, share, and subscribe, please. I'm really trying to grow my YouTube presence, y'all. And I really think that these are going to help a lot of people. And that's really the bulk of what I care about.
Yeah.
I'm so guided to share this message that I'm up all night long. So please let Danny sleep and help me get the message out, okay? Because Spirit ain't gonna leave me alone until we do. Let's help people, y'all. Let's all take part in this light work. This is light work, right? This is literally how you are a light worker. It's like raking the world by spreading things like this and sharing it and putting that vibration out into the universe of healing and self-acceptance and love. And it's okay to be you, and it's okay to F up and whatever, you know? Yeah, so please do that as well. And if you guys want to journal on any of these things, like, I highly encourage it. You can always rewind back too, but, you know, either authenticity or, like Lemmy was saying, who don't you want to be, who do you want to be, how can you get there? Or, like, inner child stuff. If you want to do any of those, I highly encourage you to. Okay, my babes? Feeling good?
Feeling good.
Proud of you.
All thanks.
Live and light, my babes. Stay tuned because we're going to keep rolling in this series, but we're going to upload these two tonight. Probably like 4 a.m. the YouTube cues, but live and light, babes.